At VAA Philippines, the Virtual Assistant Academy, we've carefully recruited, screened, and trained over 600 virtual assistants in the Philippines in order to support you, Amazon sellers, agencies, and other types of e-commerce businesses, ranging from Amazon experts and PPC experts to social media assistants, as well as graphic designers and video editors, even general executive assistants, everything you need in order to begin to delegate your daily tasks and scale your business up.
All right, everyone, welcome to SellerMania. I don't even know what number this is, but this is the Ecom Cooperative. I'm Liz Downing. I'm Director of Partnerships here, and I've got my friends on to talk about everything. We call this the PPC edition, but it's really the advertising edition. So we do have a couple of housekeeping items. We encourage questions. We're not going to have slides. This is an open conversation. So if you've got questions, pop them into the Q&A, pop them into the chat. We already have one question. We're going to get into that in just a second. So don't worry, we're going to answer your question. I'm happy to have my friend Pearl Osh here with me today. She's the COO of Frisbee. Pearl, say hi.
Hey, thank you, Liz.
My favorite things are the things I do with Pearl. So she's going to actually kind of be leading the discussion. I'm going to be popping up some poll questions. I encourage you to answer that. Any of you who registered for this webinar will be eligible for one of the fabulous prizes that are offered by our panelists here, along with also some of our other partners. So that will all be included in the replay. And then if you win a prize, you will be contacted by me personally on your email address that you used to register. So without further ado, I think we will get started. First, let's do introductions. So Pearl, why don't you introduce our crowd, have them say a little bit about each other. I am awkward. We just had a tornado where I am. So I'm going to come down from my tornado event and let Pearl take the intros.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Okay, so I guess we'll go round robin style here. We'll start from the bottom. Liran, nice to see you. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you. Nice to be here. Liran Hirschkorn. I'm the founder and CEO of Incrementum Digital. We help brands scale on Amazon and other retail media channels. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure to have. Hey guys, I don't know if you realize that the quality of presenters that we have here. These are, when you go to these conferences and you're there in person, these are the people that are literally flagged down from like a mile away, and they're like, "Can we get a few minutes with you?" And this is the type of the type of people that Ecom Cooperative likes to bring on that aren't necessarily just one of the many. These are from the top-notch people in the space. So whoever's listening, just consider yourself that this is going to be a real treat. So yeah, so with that intro, Isaac, how about going ahead and introducing yourself? I will add, just you should all follow these guys on LinkedIn as well. They put out incredible content. Yeah, Isaac, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I'm excited and honored to be here. So my name is Isaac Gross. I'm the CEO and founder of IGPPC. We manage the advertising for many Amazon brands. We do Walmart as well, but primarily Amazon.
Incredible. Okay, last but not least, Laura, go for it.
Thanks, Pearl. My name's Laura Pattison. I am the Senior Director of Strategy and Insights at Takeometrics. We support brands selling on marketplaces, Amazon, Walmart, and beyond, and combined services as well as our incredible technology to support that growth and efficiency.
Incredible. Okay, so I guess I'll just very quickly introduce Frisbee. So we don't do advertising, but then at the end of the day, we realize that if advertising is not in check, nothing is going to work. So what we do is we actually help with global expansion. So brands or sellers that are looking to expand into Amazon's international marketplaces, such as Amazon Canada, the UK, etc. We are a one-stop shop to help you, guide you through the complexities, such as like with a VAT and then the product compliance. And then of course the shipping, which is our main business. This is what we focus on, but we do the value add in order for you to be able to, simply be able to expand. So what we realize again is that sellers that are expanding globally, but then they don't have their advertising in check, are definitely going to, you know, not see the results they're looking for. So for those reasons, I'm excited to hear everything these panelists are going to share. Yeah. So Liz, shall we just jump right into it and go for it?
I guess I should tell people what the e-com cooperative is if they don't know.
Oh, absolutely. See, I take it for
Maybe.
granted everybody does already, but
They
please.
probably do, but the Ecom Cooperative is a free community to sellers and brand owners, and we help make the connection between the seller and brand owner community and the service provider community through educational webinars like this, through written content, through in-person events that are always lots and lots of fun. And all the people here are partners of ours and our bestest friends, and I'm super excited about this today. I will say I was a little bummed about, we called this the PPC edition because we needed a snappy title for the webinar, but really advertising is more than PPC, especially like even just on Amazon, there's so much to dig into. And I'm really glad that I don't have to like know a lot about advertising anymore. I used to work where Laura works, and keeping up with everything you guys know, I don't know how you do it, but I'm really glad you do. And we're really glad to have you here. So again, those of you in the audience, if you've got questions for these people, they're really hard to get in person, like Pearl said. So this is your opportunity to pick the brains of some of the best minds in advertising today. So do it. We encourage that. And we'll also give you ways to contact these people. We'll also give you links to their LinkedIn so that you can follow them and their thought leadership. So that being said, I will shut up again. And Pearl, why don't you think about your customer base, and when you see, I mean, obviously advertising is on everybody's mind, and people talk about that even when they're looking for international expansion, even when they're looking for inventory management, anything that they're looking for. Obviously you can't expand and you can't move forward and you can't grow and scale if you don't have your advertising in place, because it is a pay to play world that we live in. So take it away, Pearl.
Got it. So I guess I'll start a very, very generic, just to get the juices flowing here. Isaac, if I could start with you, what would you say is the biggest challenge that advertising, sellers are facing with advertising today?
So I would say the biggest challenge right now is Amazon has increased the sponsor, like in the search results, you have more and more sponsor slots, and the percentage of sales that come from organic is shrinking. And one of the questions advertisers have a lot is, if I spend less, will I have the same amount of sales? Or if I spend more, how much more incremental sales will I have when I spend more? So that's honestly when I find the hottest conversations between clients. Like, am I just right now spending the perfect amount? Maybe if I increase my spend by 50%, how much more sales will I have? Another 50%? Usually that's not the case, right? Usually the more you spend, the higher the tacos. But the question is, how much more incremental sales am I getting? And then the question is, how about, let's say I rank organically in my main keywords, can I cut back spending and still maintain the rank? So that's, I would say, one of the harder questions. Of course, it can become more complex once you do DSP. Right now, we have a lot of AMC, more reports to see overlap, to see path to conversion. But I would say for the average seller that doesn't spend on DSP, that's probably one of the harder conversations that we constantly have.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, what's the balance? And I know that Amazon has also, introduced these new fees of keeping inventory in check. So within that theme, sellers have to keep their volume perfect. It can be under stored, or whatever the right word is for that, but they can be under and they can be over. So I don't know if everybody saw this update from Amazon yesterday on LinkedIn. Dharmesh, one of the senior people at Amazon, did announce that they are going to roll back, rather not roll back, but they're going to put the fees out there where if your inventory is not in check, they're going to charge you for it, but they're going to actually credit you back at the end of April. So that was a nice welcoming touch, I would say, to bad day though. I mean, April Fools. I think a lot of people might be April Fools. So terrible day to announce that, but I think sellers were very happy to see that. So on that topic, but I guess Liran, if you could, let's dive in a little bit into this. So what would you say
Yeah.
are some of the strategies around this?
Yeah, well, a few things. And, I think if Amazon said they were totally waiving that fee, then we would for sure know it was April Fool's. Uh, um, but so, I mean, I think in terms of the challenges and then some of the solutions, I think one of the biggest, obviously the challenges that Isaac mentioned are definitely challenges. I think also making sense of all the data and like, okay, like great, I have all this data, but like now what? What do I do with it? What are the insights that I'm getting off this data so I can understand it? And then of course staying on top with new things and changes is something that is challenging. And then to add to that, it's just all the, yes, new fees. And how does that, what do I need to do to combat that? So I think there's multiple solutions and nothing is necessarily easy, right? Because you can go and raise your price, but what is the impact of that? Will you lose ranking? Will you lose some of the sales velocity? Are your competitors raising prices? I think some of the things with the fees will also take a learning period because there are ways to overcome it in terms of the fees. There's using the Amazon warehousing and distribution that can help you overcome some of those like inventory placement fees that are in place. There's some reduction in the FBA fees. But again, there's challenges with the low inventory fees and seasonal products and how it's going to be affected. So I think it's an adjustment sellers will need to make, but I also think that ultimately, yeah, you may need to raise your prices. And also it should drive you to focus on just the overall operations of your business and where else you can drive efficiencies from that are not within just like the Amazon fees. So back to your question. Your question is, how do you overcome these challenges? I think you need to overall you need to really focus on the operations of your business. You're not gonna have a great business if you're just really good at the marketing side and you're neglecting your operations, logistics, renegotiating with suppliers. There's good opportunity right now to do that. The dollar's gotten stronger against the Chinese currency. Factories in China, I think, are suffering to some extent. The economy's not that great there. So I think you have to find what those efficiencies are in your business and really plan out for how you can maintain your margins on Amazon, which yes, is getting challenging. On the side note, I see, even just conversations I have with people and shoppers. This past weekend, I was talking to some of my neighbors and like they're telling me they're shopping more in Walmart. For example, they're ordering groceries there. Like I do see this trajectory that over time, although it's maybe slow, there will be more options for sellers to maybe diversify a little bit more. TikTok has been one of those places also in some cases.
I think for the consumer, there's a lot more options. I don't know from a seller perspective if there is, but they do work hand in hand ultimately. So
Right.
is just a lot more, I would say, it feels like there's a lot more potential when you're looking to sell on Amazon because of just the track record and for how long all this is happening. But yeah, like you mentioned, there's Temu and there's Shein and then Walmart, obviously, and they're all getting better and better with time to allow the onboarding and the actual selling experience to be reasonable. But yeah, just to, I guess, put in a little bit of that, like, yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to operations. Obviously, my job at Frisbee as chief operating officer is making sure operations are in check, and I could clearly see how that has such an impact on the organization as a whole. And yeah, we as an organization did work a lot for the last, I would say, better part of the last 2 years on how could we reduce a lot of the manual work and things that could be done just smarter using AI or using, spreadsheets and things like that. So I'm curious, any of you have any strategy or insights when it comes to, and I know I'm pivoting slightly over here, but speaking of challenges, Isaac or Laura, do any of you have any experience when it comes to AI, or is there any tools or tips that you could suggest when it comes to using automation? And I'm sure, Laura, you could speak on that with Tech and Metrics, But what are some tangible tips or tricks that you could give a seller that's listening today that could be like, oh wow, I didn't think of that. That would just save me so much time. And of course, that would reduce costs.
Isaac, are you okay if I jump in here first? Okay, I'll pass it over. Yeah, we definitely have experience on the AI side. I mean, I think a lot of the challenges right now boil down to profitability and can you understand your profitability? So number one, can you identify it? Can you measure it? Can you figure out those margins? And I think that's unfortunately a big gap for a lot of sellers is knowing what that looks like after fees and all of that. And so we do have, some AI built in, and I'm, not trying to plug, I want to be helpful here, but really focusing on identifying where you have the greatest margins. You've got room in your profitability to push your brand through certain products and make sure that you're visible. And then, using that momentum to build into tier 2 products, I think is something that we're having to focus on a lot more. I would say, a few years ago, did you have inventory, you could sell it. If we think back to 2020, if you had that in stock, you really didn't have a problem selling through it. And now things have shifted to where fees are increasing, cost of production is going up, price points and understanding price elasticity in your category is critical to making sure you can maintain those margins. You can understand profitability, and you can understand, like, what are my loss leaders, but doing so intentionally. And so we do use AI at Teika to help you identify what should your ACoS target be. If you were to shift your ACoS target and focus on profitability, at what point, and it's just a couple percentage points, can make a big difference in terms of accelerating profitability and saving those advertising dollars, but really boosting that flywheel to get that moving so you can rely on organic more.
Amazing.
So I'll answer that. So in terms of actually using AI to manage the ads, we're still very more hands-on. We have great tech, but it's more rule-based, less so automated AI. But I think where sellers can use AI just in a very simple manner. Things that used to be a complicated Excel formula, like it used to take a long time to build an Excel formula. Right now, you just put in the numbers that you want, and AI gives you the answer fairly quickly. It can also give you the formula that you can just copy paste into Excel. But even without that, many complicated formulas, even right now, maybe with all the fees, you can put in exactly what your sales were, a lot of different calculations, and AI it spits you out the answer fairly quickly. I mean, again, as an agency, we use AI in a lot of different ways also, but that's in terms of how I believe sellers can use it.
Yeah, I would say we also use AI in a lot of our operations. And what I would say is make a list of everything you do that you're doing more than once, because the things that you're doing more than once, you should think about, how can I automate this? And we use tools like Zapier a lot that interacts with other software to automate things in our business. And you could do that for a lot of things. I can give you one example. We use ClickUp, and we have an automation in ClickUp that works with ChatGPT, OpenAI, and we just put in an ASIN and hit enter, and then we get a summary of a lot of questions that we ask through a prompt of information about that ASIN. For example, tell me, more about the product. Who's the target audience? What are some keywords I can think of that I might want to negate from the beginning, just based off of this? So, and you could do this for, whether for your product research, for many aspects in your business. You can use this, especially if you have a team of, let's say, a VA or, a team for your team. You can help set up these prompts. And yeah, it may be useful for you to even seek out, if this is not your expertise, seek out a consultant. There's plenty of people you can find on platforms like, Upwork or other places of consultants who can help you think about what you can automate. But I would first make a list of what are all the things that we do in our business that we do more than once, and you can get a lot more efficiency. I just saw somebody yesterday who posted in a networking group that I'm in that 70% of their customer service chats on their website were in the last month were completely 100% handled by AI. All of them start with AI, but 70% went from start to finish just using AI.
Wow.
So, you could definitely get significantly more efficient. Obviously, there's other things around video and for creatives and other things where you could use AI to create a lot more efficiencies in your business.
I have a question for you, Laura. Would you be comfortable automating ChatGPT negative keywords without a human being reviewing it?
No.
Oh, you would. Okay.
No, we
That
have we look at it and then we make that decision.
right.
I would say that's the value of an agency. We shouldn't just be automating without having eyes on it.
Mhm. Right.
But as a seller, if you see that it's pretty consistent, you might be able to do that. Or again, just having that second look is going to reduce the amount of time that takes you in the first place. Also, for us, it helps our team it helps make sure our team really understands the product in a lot of ways. So when we're doing product research, competitor research, etc., we really want to understand the market, who's the audience, etc. And this gives you at least a baseline starting point, besides all the keyword research and everything else that we do. And especially if you think about it, you have somebody, in the Philippines, right? They're not a native English speaker. Like there are things you could do to help them and make them significantly more efficient in terms of what they do. And, again, you may be able to, where you had 2 VAs before, maybe you need 1 because you have a lot of things automated in your business. So I would challenge you to ask yourself, what are the repeatable tasks in my business? And can it be automated? Or at least can it be semi-automated, right? Can you take it 70, 80% of the way there?
Right. I just want to add one more point, just not related to AI, but the idea of adding negative keywords even before starting a campaign. I've seen this a lot with sellers who are more used to, let's run a campaign, let's see what doesn't work, and then we'll negate it. But many times, let's say you have, shoes for men, right? You can start negating woman right from the get-go, like certain words that that this
Right.
will never convert. And that's something that Amazon might confuse at the beginning and still show you up for that search terms. So that's just a good tip there as well.
Smart, and
Right.
that would save money, obviously, right? Because you're not paying for those searches.
Right.
Very
Yes.
smart.
Yeah, you're not paying for those clicks. And also, you, in general, are giving better signals to the algorithm of what your product is relevant for and what your
Mhm.
product is about, right? So, especially a new product, you kind of, Amazon's algorithm gets a better understanding of what it is and what it should rank for, etc.
Right. And a good way also to see how Amazon understands your product is to see the suggested keywords that they give you when you put in the product to create a campaign. So if you see, let's say, when you start creating a manual campaign, there's suggested keywords is like all over the place, and you get a lot of irrelevant keywords, you can start off and putting these keywords even as a negative phrase, they're really not relevant before you create the campaign.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the sentiment of my favorite colleagues are the ones who despise inefficiencies in their day to day, and they're always looking to automate, something they have to do twice or 3 times. Taking it one additional step, it's also the aggregation of data. One brand in isolation doesn't have as much data as a machine that's able to aggregate all of that data and bid or surface keywords for addition or negation, ACoS targets, understanding conversion rate differences throughout the day, things like that. And so not only is it helping to create efficiencies in your workflow, but also to provide more data to make more data-based decisions with statistical significance. So AI is really powerful in that aspect as well, where as much as I love math, and I say that all the time, I know I'm an outlier, there's just not as much that we can do as individuals when it comes to synthesizing all of those data points that is provided to us, especially when agencies and tech providers can do that across hundreds, if not thousands of brands.
Absolutely. So speaking of things that excite you, Laura, what else in Amazon advertising, I should ask, excites you? And from the product side of it, and then obviously what kind of results are you seeing from those things that excite you?
Absolutely. So, Laurent, you mentioned this a moment ago, AMC. I think that is probably everybody is the most excited about it, and it's just more data, right? It's more information for us to build strategies and make optimizations from. So, attribution modeling, better understanding things around first click is really powerful, especially as you start to reach upper funnel. Being able to identify and add in new AMC audiences to increase your reach, frequency, overlap, path to conversion, all of those different reports that are available, such valuable information to continue to build. In the AI space, I'll also mention I'm excited about the creative. We're not quite there. We're still seeing some very interesting creative that Amazon is producing. I think I've seen a necklace chain be the chain of a light that's hanging from the ceiling. So there's still evolution and improvements to be made there, but it is definitely going to reduce barrier to entries of, new brands and sellers to be able to enter the space and run all of the ad types available to them. So those two things, I think we're expecting evolution, but we're really excited to get started on the journey.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Isaac, anything that comes to mind for you?
So as Laura said, AMC data is definitely exciting. And as Laura mentioned, one of the hard part is to make sure to make it actionable and not get just, paralysis by analysis and get overwhelmed with the data. So I love diving deep into that. I think also Amazon is starting to release more and more AMC data for brands that don't run upper funnel or DSP. So that's exciting as well, because again, even with us, we work with a lot of large brands, but a big percent of them don't run DSP. So I'm excited to see more of that. And also here and there, Amazon is keeping they keep on releasing small features. Last week they released how you can add a search term that converted well from an auto campaign to a manual ad group, which is a strategy that every agency has done before, and Amazon is implementing it. They just released adding negative ASINs and sponsored display. So it's obvious that Amazon is putting a lot of resources towards sharing more data and also giving us more capabilities to make it more efficient. So I'm excited about that. I love also the search query performance, the analytics they give on the organic side. I would say probably that's my favorite. Yeah.
Amazing. Laurent, anything to add there? I'm sure you have something.
Yeah. Well, AMC, what Isaac spoke about, there's definitely opportunities not for just DSP. And there's also opportunities to create audiences for DSP that you cannot normally create with DSP. For example, people who abandon their cart. AMC also has something called paid insights, where you have to pay additional for it, but instead of getting just ad data, you can also get organic data. And that allows you to understand when customers maybe purchase organically, and how many times does it take for them to purchase organically regularly, maybe before they become a subscribe and save customer, or showing an ad to customers who bought a particular product 2 or 3 times. They bought a 30 count vitamin C and they bought it already 2-3 times. So now I'm going to show them better value, and I'm going to show them an ad through DSP for the 60 count or the 90 count. It's a better value. It's an upsell. So there's opportunities there, but we could definitely see the path to conversion and how different ad types work together, unrelated to DSP also. Just what is the purchase rate when somebody sees a sponsored brand sponsored product ad together or with sponsored display, and what's the impact of them seeing multiple ad types? What's the impact of frequency or the amount of times they see an ad? So a lot of things there. And continuously Amazon adding features like Isaac said, and he posted last week about the ability to add search terms from auto campaign into manual and negate, and new ad types that could be interesting, like vertical video ads is something new that launched. So overall, I mean, Amazon has been sharing a lot more data, and in general, more opportunity. There's a new thing that just got added into, not on the ad side, but A+ content that's new, that allows you to have complementary product module now as well. So, I mean, there's new things that are coming out very, very regularly, and you know, presents opportunities to just get more visibility for your brand. And if you know how to leverage it, you know, you can take advantage of it and find where the best efficiencies are for your brand to, you know, to advertise in general.
Anybody have an example of some of these new features that came out that you tried and are giving you different kind of results because of it?
We've tried the vertical video ads. I would say the results are mixed. Some people are getting great results with it. Some are not getting as good results. We do see good click-through rates for it, but I think it's one of those things. I can't say across the board we're seeing amazing results, but it's one of those things that I think is worth testing. And I think that Amazon's going to try to make things like that more visible, as we are in a sort of TikTok reel kind of world, that, you know, you're going to find those kind of things more visible. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future you would have similar ads to and I'll share another ad that's new, but you would have similar ads to what TikTok allows you to do, which TikTok has something called Spark ads, which you have a creator that posts something promotion for your brand, and you're allowed to run ads through that creator's profile. So instead of showing up under your brand, it shows. Amazon has this you know, bottom I don't know if what it's Inspire it's called, on the bottom of the app, and now you see influencers there and posts from there. I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing more of that in search results, and then Amazon let brands run ads through those creators as well to get more visibility. And then also recently Amazon has allowed you to boost posts posts that you have for sponsored brand ads. One key thing about it is your post, which are free, and video posts are also new and free also. One thing is you have to have at least 3 products featured in that post in order to boost it for a sponsored brand ad. So that's something that's worth testing as well.
That's great. And these are, I'm guessing, some of those things that you've seen actual tangible results with. I'm curious, those vertical videos, totally pivoting in a certain sense, but I'm curious, would you say the content of the actual videos is what's varying the results, or is it just the feature dependent on category will give you different kind of results?
I think content and I think the product itself, right? Like amount of reviews, price, those are, you know, also factors.
Have you noticed target demographic plays any kind of role? I would assume this, you know, TikTok, I think, is creeping up in terms of its target demographic, but it was historically, you know, 18 to 34 was the primary user.
It's a good question. I don't have the data on that, but that's a good question to, you know, to understand if that's an impact or not.
Really fair. Follow up with you later.
Isaac, anything to add to this mix? What are you seeing? I'm
So
I'm
we
curious,
started
something tangible that sellers could be like, interesting. So this is the results. Okay, maybe I should try it or not, right?
Well, we
So
started testing with the client Prime Video. So the interesting part about Prime Video is that they're going to release, I think, April 15 even, add to cart button, which will increase conversion rates. I mean, potentially like crazy, because that means somebody's watching a video on the app and they get served an ad. There will be a add to cart button right from the app. So we already see that Prime Video performs better than STV, because attribution is better. But with this add to cart, I think April 15, could be I'm wrong, but I think April 15 they're going to release that. That should be something very, very interesting to experiment with, because it's higher funnel, but not, you know, it's still on Amazon with an add to cart button, which could be very interesting, you know, having professional commercial style videos there.
I have a question about that. So has Amazon released any kind of data on like where someone is actually watching the Amazon Prime content? Because like, for instance, I'll put on Amazon Prime on the TV And sometimes the thing I want to watch is on freebie. So I end up with ads. But if I had an add to cart button on that ad, I couldn't do anything with it with my
Well,
report.
I think you'll be able to use the remote to click on
Yeah.
it. I think so.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, also
Can you
they've
find
added,
your remote fast enough is going to be the question, Liz.
Amazon's also added the ability to have like QR codes on those
Right now, they have QR
I've
codes.
noticed that.
ads also.
Brilliant.
Have you
Uh,
seen that performing well for people?
Have they been performing well for people? That's a good question. I don't know.
We haven't
Data-
seen any great
I mean-
results. It's still really, it's upper funnel. It's
Yeah.
very, we haven't seen great results with that.
We've
so
seen
The
strong
question is
results.
because of the button. I'm wondering, is it because of what Liran, sorry, Laura, that I interrupted
okay.
you. I'm curious if it's the add to cart, or Isaac, you mentioned that maybe that's the missing piece that people are still missing, and that's why they're not seeing conversions.
Correct. So again, after all, it's still upper funnel, right? So you're still serving an ad to somebody based on a demographic. I think you'll be able also to serve an ad based on somebody's search for a certain keyword. So that might be a pretty lower funnel strategy, like serving an ad on Prime Video, let's say for somebody that searched for, let's say, garlic press, right? So that could be something that's really, that's what I'm excited about, because it's not that much of a higher funnel, and it's Prime Video, you have an add to cart button. That's, go ahead.
The main metric when you're doing those types of ads to look at is not conversions, because number one, you're likely not going to see the conversion happening from that ad type. With AMC, you can see the path to conversion, so that is helpful to see if they started there maybe. But the metrics that you want to see are your branded searches growing as a result of having more brand awareness? What is the cost of, just from that pool of people, of, it's called estimated cost per detailed page view? What is the cost of somebody who, got served an impression of that ad, and for them to, how much should I pay for them to get to my page? It's not going to be, awareness ads are not for immediate drivers. You generally don't sit on your couch, see an ad for Nike, and immediately run out to the store, go online and buy the product, right? Although sometimes it does happen, but the idea is that you, again, this is, I would say, for brands that are a certain size, 5 million, 10 million, you're maxing out a lot of what you're doing on Amazon. You want to grow the amount of people in the funnel, and you're reaching beyond people just searching in the search bar that may be interested in your product but don't know about it, or it's not on their radar. That's the goal of brand awareness ads, but it's the idea that when the person is in the sort of one level down the funnel in the consideration phase and considering what to buy, that they're now aware of your brand. When they see that brand in search, or when they get retargeted, that it's familiar to them, and they've already looked at it, and it's going to impact their purchasing decision. But the main metric is not conversions when you're running those ads. Where AMC is very helpful is understanding the impact those ads make that we didn't really fully understand before.
Laura,
Yeah.
what are you guys seeing with your brands with the Prime ads?
We're, preliminary results, and by that I mean like a fairly small subset of brands that we're supporting, but initially we're seeing pretty strong performance. I would mention that these are brands that probably already have some base level of brand recognition. So while we're almost reminding rather than introducing for the first time, so that is probably more helpful there. The only other metric I would add is I'd also be looking for new to brand percent lift from those upper funnel, wholly aligned on all the rest. And my only other question to Amazon, I think, and this is an opportunity, you can tie my login from Prime Video to my app to have something across the top of the page of like products you recently saw in commercial, and highlight those to me so I can say, oh, I know it's going to be there in my app the next time I log in. I saw that garlic press, Isaac, to your point, and then I go and log in and it's kind of there at the top. I haven't missed that. They could track it better, and it feels really beneficial to the brand. So since you're tying those two logins together anyway, just surfacing it right there in the app, and you know you're not going to lose something you saw on TV just because you can't find your phone or your remote. Seems like a great opportunity to facilitate those conversions.
Mhm.
So Amazon, if you're listening.
Yeah, they just sent out another LinkedIn update. What do you mean? Done.
Great, that was quick.
That's very, very helpful. I'm learning a lot. This is a
And
fantastic conversation. Yell
Carl,
around.
just to add on the new to brand, what's pretty cool also about the Amazon Marketing Cloud is that it shows you new to brand clients, new to brand sales down to the keyword level and at the campaign level. And Amazon currently on the ad console only shows new to brand on sponsored products. They don't show new to brand sales that come as a result of a campaign in sponsored. They only show it on sponsored brands, not on sponsored products. And with Amazon Marketing Cloud, you can see which of your campaigns and targeting is driving new to brand sales, which is again also very interesting, which is why, you know, if you're able to get access to AMC data, it's worthwhile. Even like Isaac said, even if you're not running AMC, it's worthwhile to get access to that information because it can give you a lot of insights of, okay, like this campaign maybe has a little bit of a higher ACoS, but it's driving more new to brand customers, for example, as opposed to returning where maybe on cannibalizing organic sales, for example. So a lot of great insights that you can get from it. And again, go back to the challenge. There's a lot of data, and understanding it and analyzing and what insights, actions you could take from it is, I think, one of the challenges that, you know, that brands have.
Ron, you're tying it up with a nice little bow. I mean, that just goes right back to the very first question, which is, you know, what challenges are people facing, and identifying what is actually accelerating, what is driving incrementality and reducing cannibalization is helping to reduce wasted ad spend. So just tying that up, you're tying that up with a nice little bow.
Yeah, he's good at that. Okay, so
Only in speech, but not literally. I can't wrap a present or put a bow on anything.
I'll say another interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, Isaac.
Like time to conversion is also a very interesting metric that you look at an AMC, even if you don't run DSP. So for example, if you see time to conversion, let's say it takes 7 days, you can run even sponsor display remarketing campaigns for shoppers that only viewed your ad but didn't buy it. If you see, for example, I posted a link that yesterday we had a brand that had over 20,000 orders that the purchases were made in less than 10 minutes. So that shows you how quickly people buy the product. And this can just give you insight on how clear and precise your listing should be, because people make almost, again, they had 9.3 thousand orders made in less than a minute, right? So you want to make sure you have precise data that a customer can make a split-second decision, decide, let me buy your product, or vice versa. If it takes longer, you want to retarget them. So at the around side, there's a lot of data, even if you don't actually run DSP, on how you can, you know, use AMC and play around with it.
Wow,
yep.
That's pretty impressive. I guess to start winding down here, I'm curious. Maybe Laura, you could start with this question. What kind of, or what other platforms are you hearing from sellers or brand owners, you know, about advertising? Obviously, right? So what other platforms are sellers or brands most interested about out of Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends on the space you're in of what you're going to hear, both the categories of the brands that you support, whether they're more fit for a Wayfair, a Kroger, a Home Depot. Ultimately, I'll mention Walmart is a big one, and we kind of lean into that space, so it's probably a self-fulfilling prophecy, but Amazon, Walmart seems to be close behind in what they're building out. I'm hoping, it sounds like Target's continuing to make strides. I think a lot of people want to be in Target, and they're hopefully closing a lot of gaps there in the experience and the auction style and those types of things. Fingers are crossed. And then continuing to lean in on social media, especially things like TikTok shops, where it's a marketplace, but you've got like a different subset of audience behaviors, right? That they're not necessarily searching for it, but it's more of this organic placement in terms of their scrolling. It's part of their natural behavior on the platform. So for us, it's primarily Amazon, Walmart, and then we're looking at some other marketplaces, but the kind of hybrid of marketplace / social is going to be something I think that will accelerate relatively quickly.
Yeah, it should be very interesting to see how all this continues to play out. Liran, is this similar for you, or what are you seeing or hearing?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so what kind of other platforms? What other platforms are sellers or brand owners super curious about?
Obviously, TikTok is one. But again, I think it's not for every product at the moment. I think that may change. I see TikTok just launched within the last week or two something called shop ads, which are ads that now show up in their shop feed, which weren't there before. Which to me indicates they're moving more in the direction of keyword-based targeting also, because once you get into the shop ad, you can search, you might be looking at a product, then you want to look at other similar ones to compare. You might start to search a keyword and you'll get surfaced ads that are static images, etc. So they're moving to kind of adding also similar ads that Amazon has, like keyword ads. So I see kind of the evolution of the platform. But we have some clients that, their products have just gone crazy on TikTok. We have one particular client that has significantly more sales for their product on TikTok than on Amazon. But again, I think it needs to be the right product, like impulse buy type, $30, $20 type product, right? Like certain products are going to work better there. And I think Walmart also, I see, I think Walmart's going to continue to grow and be an opportunity. But I would, again, if I was looking to test something, I think, again, if your product is a good fit, I think TikTok is worthwhile because, on Walmart, I know what I might get, and it may be somewhere up to 10% of my sales on Amazon, let's say. On TikTok, the product could go viral if you have the right, if you have enough creators putting content out, etc., and you can have massive amount of sales. Also, you have to be aware, right? How is that going to affect your inventory levels if it does happen? Are you prepared for it? What about those low inventory fees that are going to come on Amazon if you're low on inventory there, right? So you need to also think of it. Do you have the inventory available if that happens, or are you okay with the consequences if that happens? But I think it's a platform that's worth testing. I think it's going to continue to evolve. I do think it's going to stick around. I don't think it's going to get banned. I think it's also going to evolve to have more search-based targeting. The nice thing on TikTok too is, just like Amazon shows you the amount of units sort of sold, TikTok also shows you. So you can look at competitors, you can look at other products, and you can see the amount of units sold. I'll also add that it's not just $30 products. I've been seeing ads lately a lot for the Wise vacuum. They have a similar kind of vacuum as the what's the other popular like brand, Dyson. They have very similar Dyson, but it's like $99. And I think I saw something like for the other day, like 18,000 units sold or something like that.
Wow.
Massive amount of units sold.
I need that vacuum. That's what I'm going to be looking at. See, you
What's
need
that?
an ad for them.
That's right. Hopefully I'll get an
purchasing.
affiliate commission when you buy it. So there are also higher priced products, but like there's some amazing creatives. There's creators that are taking a Dyson and a Wise and have dirt in front of it and showing the difference, and they're showing it's better, whatever. And those kind of creatives are awesome, and they're driving sales. So TikTok is definitely something I think worth testing.
Absolutely. Isaac, any wise words to wrap us up with this topic, and then we'll take any Q&A and bring on Amazon.
Yeah, so for us, it's mainly, I would say, Walmart. Like, again, of course, we don't see the results of Walmart that you see on Amazon. As Liran said, a good case scenario is 10%. More typical is 5% of gross sales that you do on Amazon is what you can do on Walmart. I've played around with TikTok a little bit before even they introduced shops. Like, just like we got over 1 million views for maybe $1,500 or $2,000 in ads, and it didn't make any dent into the product. So it's something that's really, it depends on the creator, on the product. If it picks up on that. So I'm not an expert at that. So for us, it's Amazon and Walmart.
Amazing.
The only thing I do want to add there is we're talking about the volume of potential sales is definitely lower on these other platforms, and you know that shouldn't be a surprise. I do just want to say competition there is currently lower, and they recognize the opportunity is lower, and so CPCs are certainly lower as well. So we do see stronger efficiency, but overall potential volume is often not at parity. So it's still very much worth it because that efficiency is there. You just have to understand what your potential is and how much time and you know, inventory and things like that you're investing.
Yeah, that makes total sense. But speaking about operationalizing, right, like what we discussed earlier, I'm assuming that the profits are way higher on the other platforms if you're not paying for Amazon advertising the same way on these other platforms.
I mean, all that is, I mean, and you should take advantage of it. Just realize all that is temporary because every new platform is going to give you more organic reach, less fees. TikTok just announced, I think they're raising their fee from 2% to 8% referral fee, right? Like as they get more sellers on board, as they get more shoppers buying, right? Like that's just a playbook for every new platform. So it's good to take advantage of it, but it's also not going to last forever.
Hopefully there remains a first mover advantage, so you get that benefit kind of more long lasting building into that, assuming there's a similar flywheel effect. But 100%, those CPCs we're already seeing start to increase year over year on Walmart and things like that. It's still not to Amazon levels, but for sure.
Yeah, we see that with Amazon's new marketplaces. Speaking on, you know, international growth, the sellers that are first to market and the first to expand into those marketplaces, I'm talking from, you know, either a new category or just simply being the first one just in general. When Amazon announces a new opportunity, it might take a little time, but they are like the OGs. Like we clearly see them from the very beginning working with us for many, many years and just continuing to grow in that regard. So yeah, when it comes to international expansion, I would say same idea, way less saturated, a lot more potential when it comes to profit, not necessarily volume as much. But yeah, but if you could do in Canada, right, for example, between 10 to 25% of whatever volume you're doing in the US, which is the biggest marketplace push that we see right now, which that's where sellers are mostly expanding to. And then the UK obviously is also a very big marketplace, in Japan, but Canada just seems very attainable for sellers. So that's something that they're mostly excited about. Speaking of, you know, something that pushes people. So yeah, with those, they see just a lot more profit margins. And it's amazing when you think about being a pioneer, what it could do for you. So Liz.
We do have a question. It's about an international marketplace. So that's actually very germane. But someone says that they're going to launch a product in Australia where their competitors have only 30 to 250 reviews and they are selling 500 to 1,100 units per month. He only has $1,000 budget for PPC. Is it viable to launch on that marketplace with $1,000?
In regards to having $1,000 for their PPC budget,
yeah.
I'm gonna answer this strictly from like an operational standpoint, and then whoever wants to answer on advertising, go for it. If somebody has 30 to 250 reviews, right, and they're selling between 500 to 1,100 units a month, I'm curious if you're able to look up to see if they're doing any advertising, because quite frankly, when it comes to international selling, you have to do very little advertising for the same reasons I just mentioned, where there's very little saturation on those listings or just in general. So I guess if it's something that people are just in demand for, and Australia, just FYI, is a very good marketplace to sell on, I don't see why you wouldn't be selling as many units and making back 1,000 times, you know, whatever your PPC budget's going to be. But whoever has some more insight from an advertising perspective, please go for it.
I would say like this, it depends on the cost per click. Like it's around $30 a day. If the cost per click is $1, it means you're getting around 30 clicks, right? Which is not a lot. So you can always launch a product with less money, but usually the less you spend, the less, I guess, value you'll have. and the slower the momentum and the growth will be. What I would probably do when somebody has a lower budget, probably choose the top 20 keywords, maybe go exact, phrase, and broad, and play around with that. Again, depending on the type of product, or some products will probably take even less keywords. But I believe if it's not a very competitive product, you can always launch it with less money. And again, based on your budget, that's how quickly the product sort of will pick up or accelerate.
Yeah, I would say also, like, what do the search results look like? Sometimes when you're in these markets like Australia, depending on the product and how competitive it is, there may not be enough even competitors to show fully relevant results on page one. And so if that's the case, then potentially you could get sales organically too, and it could be okay. But like Isaac said, the best time to gain ranking is on a new product launch, and you want to be aggressive out of the gate and focusing on driving sales velocity and conversion. And you have to figure out, okay, if I want to get to those 500 sales, let's say a month at a minimum, and assuming that, I don't know, let's just say 70% of my sales in the first month may come from ads, then based on cost per click and an expected conversion, how much will I have to spend, work backwards towards that number, and can you get there? If not, maybe in 3 months, will you have, $5,000 to launch there? Maybe it's better to wait, if that's the case. But I think it's also dependent on the competition, the amount of reviews they have, and what the search results look like for that particular kind of main keyword that you're going after.
Aligned with all of those, I think if you are going to advertise, you should be really intentional about the targets that you have and make sure that you can fund them and have enough data to make sense of how to make adjustments for optimizations. Maybe you don't need to, maybe you do like buy the buy box targeting or sponsored display targeting and target some ASINs that are leaders in the category at this time. But ultimately, don't spread yourself too thin with a small budget.
Exactly.
Very cool. Let's go for it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. We have concluded the advertising portion of today's session. So I'm going to thank Isaac and Laura and Laurent a whole lot for being here. And you know that we're going to have you back as soon as possible. Thank you, Pearl, for your expert co-hosting. That's been great. I'm going to stop recording. So please know that if you registered for this webinar, you're going to get this recording. You're going to get all of the special offers outlined to you. We'll be picking the winners tomorrow after you get the replay, so that you have a chance to do a couple of things that I'm going to tell you to do in that replay email. So if you have any questions, you can always hit us up. I'm Liz at theecomcooperative.com. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.